welcome to the Film Reelcast. It's episode 3, season 1 of Cobra Kai, Esqueleto, a series that I'm really enjoying. I'm struggling to not continue watching after I've done this. Remember, I'm going to watch an episode, review it, watch an episode and review it. But every time I watch an episode 3 I enjoyed, I wanted to carry on watching. So let's crack on. I hope you enjoy Cobra Kai. Okay, it's recap time. If you remember, there was a face-off between Johnny and Daniel at Cobra Kai. And I think psychologically that Johnny won that. We've learnt that the friends that Samantha hangs around with probably aren't the first choice that Daniel would prefer, and that he's got a successful car business, whilst at the moment Johnny has just opened Cobra Kai and he's hoping to get more students there, and he really wants to strike first, strike hard, no mercy kind of rule for every student that comes in. Okay, before we get into episode 3, Esqueleto, I have to warn you, this will contain plot spoilers. We'll be talking about the episode in some depth. I'll be voicing my opinions. These are only my opinions. Most of the time they're wrong. My wife will confirm that, of what I think will happen and is likely to happen further down the line. Remember, I haven't seen anything further than episode 3, so I don't know. But I'm really enjoying it. But I'd love, if you're watching these, to leave a comment. Get involved with the questions. What do you think's going to happen? Is other characters, older characters, going to come in? Is Hilary Swank going to come in further down the line? I really don't know. Would that be a good thing? But subscribe and like and just get involved in this, because I'm really enjoying doing these. And it's just so simple. It's so nice to talk about an episode that, or a series that really excites me. And talking about that, remember I'm doing The Shield as well on our YouTube channel, the Film Reel Cast podcast, and you can watch episodes 1 to 6 at the moment of The Shield in season 1. It's an amazing police drama. So if you want to watch that, just click on the links for The Shield. They'll be appearing towards the end of this video, and just get involved. It'll be really nice to talk to other people who are liking and enjoying this series as well, who's just started watching it. So the start of this really surprised me. It starts with Miguel. He's in his bedroom, he's working out, he's working on his punches, which Johnny's told him to. And his mum comes to the door, knocks on his bedroom door, and all he can hear is obviously the sound of him punching. But he thinks that he's spanking something else rather than punching. And she even makes that comment that he's jerking off, which really surprised me. I thought it was a really light-hearted, great intro to this episode. And also you learn that the Halloween dance is coming up at the school, and that they're not rich enough to hire a costume, and that Miguel's sister is going to make one, and it probably won't be as classy as what he wants. So back at the dojo, it will come as no surprise that there's only one student, which is Miguel, who's working on his punches. Is that because there's one student, a dojo needs money, and there are no other students, and Johnny's really struggling to pay the bills. Then it goes to Daniel, where you see him looking out of his window at Samantha, his daughter, who's with Kyla. And you can see he's really concerned. I don't know whether he's concerned that he thinks that Kyla's probably not a good influence, or that, as we previously saw with the bond that him and Samantha had, whether he feels that she's kind of flying the nest and won't be going to him as someone who would want for advice and things like that, and that's what he's missing out on. But he's really concerned, and you see that. And then at school you see Aisha, who was previously really good friends with Samantha. She still values that friendship, but Samantha's in with this it crowd, who are a bunch of bitches, really, for want of a better word. And they used to, you see that they used to go to the school dances, and they used to go together, and they used to wear the same outfits. And for this Halloween dance, they were going to wear the same outfit, but it's brought to everyone's attention by Moon, I think it is, that they're going to go as Laker girls. Again, that's really tacky, that's really classless, that it's just something that they want to stand out, show their sexuality. They've got no personality, so they have to make it up with their own sexuality. But it's just ridiculous. And I think deep down Samantha would want to go with Aisha, but peer pressure again, which we learned that she's under so much peer pressure and the want to be in with this it crowd, she shuns Aisha to go as a Lakers girl. And this really hurts Aisha, and you see it in her face. And again, some really horrid comments are made by Moon and Yasmin against Aisha, And again, Samantha never sticks up for her. I think deep down she would, and I hope at some point that she really does stick up and she actually kicks the arse of both Moon and Yasmin, because they're both complete bitches. So to get more money, Johnny clearly, and is told by Miguel, he needs to advertise. He's not put any adverts in the papers for the dojo. So he goes out, and to be honest, if he was advertising back in the 80s, he'll probably get a lot of interest. But the way he looks with his black denim, he's double denim for a start, which is never a good look, and he's got a black headband, that he's going out just giving flyers out. And then remember, he's not the most approachable person or people-friendly person to be giving flyers out and gaining a lot of interest. And this really, really reflects on the lack of interest he gets. And then he tries to change his approach, where he walks up to a couple of guys in a basketball court and he calls them bros or dudes and tries to kind of speak on their level. And to them, Johnny's an old bloke, you know what I mean? To most 16, 15, 12-year-olds, if you're over the age of 25, you're considered old. So he walks up, says dudes or some other cheesy comment, and obviously they just shut him down straight away. But it's a really funny comment, and again, I feel really sorry for Johnny, because he's trying to better himself and his business. So the confidence that Daniel has with Kyla and Samantha isn't helped when he goes into the bedroom and he sees messages on Samantha's laptop from Kyla about their affection towards each other, and that during the Halloween party they're going to escape to another classroom. And I think that he probably has got the one thing in mind, the same thing that Daniel's thinking. And for that reason, at dinner that evening, Daniel says that he's spoken to the school and that they need a chaperone and they're desperate for chaperones and that he's going to go. But obviously, like any father, that he's really protective over Samantha and he's going to go there as a chaperone so he can keep an eye on whatever his daughter is either up to or whatever Kyla's got in mind to do with his daughter. And fair play to Miguel, he comes up with a website for Johnny that people can log in as a membership and show interest. And he's kind of actually moving into the 21st century, where Johnny's still set in the 80s. I mean, he makes references to music being much better, and I can't argue with him in the 80s and the 90s than it is now. So he's really trying to do his best, because he knows that, as it's pointed out, if he doesn't make any money, then the dojo's going to have to close. And he's relying at the moment on Johnny teaching him, well, it's not self-defense, it's to beat the crap out of these bullies who beat him up before. And fair play, he's ridiculed at school, he's bullied. And bullying is a horrible thing. It really is for a child to have to go through every single day, psychologically and mentally. So no wonder he wants this dojo to stay open, so he can learn all the skills, the kicks and the punches and the throws, so he can take down these bullies. And if there's one thing people of a certain age, being myself, will remember, the films of the 80s, like American Ninja, Kickboxer, Bloodsport, Best of the Best, and Karate Kid, you need a montage. You cannot improve. You won't succeed in life if you don't have a montage. And the next scene, when they go to the swimming baths, where Miguel is tied up, and you knew what was coming, is tied up by Johnny, and he says, well, what's this for? He says, you want to learn to kick. You tell me kicking is that important, but we're going to teach you. And he has got no clue what's going to happen. He gets pushed in the pool by Johnny, and he can't swim. And it's one hell of a gamble, because Johnny stands there, and the only time he actually saves him, or he does it twice, is he just puts his hand in and he pulls Miguel up by his hair. And he says, if you want to survive, if you want to learn how to kick, you're going to have to tread water and kick to come up to the surface. And as he does this, you see montages of him in the dojo breaking blocks of wood with his knee, with his feet and things like that. And it's really, really good. And again, they nail the soundtrack to this and the tension, and it's really exciting. And this series, I've noticed, and I'm only on number 4, is that their montages and their music really hit the 80s. It's like the cartoon, on the regular show cartoon. It's on Cartoon Network. And it's kind of Jay and Silent Bob and Bill and Ted. It's a real kind of nostalgic cartoon where they do references to the 80s and they do montages there and kind of take the piss out of it. This series does amazing montages with brilliant soundtracks. And Miguel, like a phoenix, comes to the surface of the swimming pool. And he's learned how to kick. He's conquered his demons. He can swim. He could probably do the Olympics now in a 100-meter pool and do 1,000 lengths and break a world record, thanks to Johnny. So again, if that montage wasn't enough of a reminder of the 80s, they've got the Halloween dance and Miguel's there, and his first costume, as I say, that Johnny says, are you disguised as poor man? So he says, I've got an idea for a costume. And his idea is a real kickback to 1984 Karate Kid, where he's got their famous Halloween skeleton costume that he walks into the gym. And if you're watching this, you could be back in 1984. It's a brilliant outfit. He looks amazing. And obviously Daniel's there with his daughter. And when Daniel sees Miguel dressed as a skeleton, he gets a flashback. Again, another montage of when he got his ass kicked by Johnny in the Karate Kid, when all four of them were there kicking his ass. And it's brilliant. And again, this feeds on the nostalgia of 1984, and it adds to the enjoyment, and I love it. For me, I'm really enjoying this ride. But let's think back. One thing that has always bugged me is, yes, Johnny was a bully and his friends were bullies, and they gave Daniel a really hard time, and Daniel even admits that in Cobra Kai. But this one episode, I feel, was probably justified. I mean, that Daniel went into the toilets and Johnny's there famously smoking a joint, where he's meant to be a health freak, and he's sitting on that toilet, and winners don't use drugs, everyone knows that. And he's sitting on the toilet, and he gets the water and he pours it over the toilet, and he covers Johnny in the water. I mean, that was an unprovoked attack. He didn't need to do that. I know previously he's been beaten up and he's been given a hard time, but he didn't need to do that. And then he got the shit beaten out of him. Yeah, it was 4-on-1, and that was really unfair. But if he wouldn't have done that, maybe that evening he wouldn't have got into a fight. And that's one thing that's always stuck in my mind. And when I watched the Karate Kid, and Daniel does that, it's really unprovoked, and he doesn't need to do that. And I think that could have been avoided. And that was a real dick move by Daniel on that part. But that's just, I'm tangenting now. That's just something that's always stuck in my mind from the Karate Kid. So at the party, there's a really nice moment where Aisha goes over to Samantha and says to her that it's mainly driven by Samantha, which is even better, that can we hang out after school? We used to be good friends, and they both acknowledge that. And they say that, yeah, what we had was really special, and it shouldn't be pissed away just by these girls, being Yasmin and Moon. So they agree to meet up, and it's really nice, and you really hope that something nice is going to happen, because Aisha really deserves it. She's clearly a loyal friend. She's the opposite of what both these other girls are, and she's the better influence for Samantha. So remember, Johnny's there putting flyers around the school, and again we get another face-off with Johnny and Daniel. Daniel goes outside, he follows the skeleton costume, he follows Miguel, and he bumps into Johnny, who's putting flyers up. And he says to him that you're Cobra Kai. And to be honest, Daniel's got a point at this time, that he says your Cobra Kai and your lessons from Kreese affected you badly, and they're negative. So why would you want to bring those up again? Why would you want to go through what you went through with Kreese again? Because it changed you as a person. And Daniel's got a good point. And at the moment, Daniel's not being, there's no conflict there. He's not being hostile at all. What he's saying is true. I mean, after the competition, I remember that Johnny said, you deserve to win, well done. And he was really hurt. And he was actually pleased afterwards to get second place, to get the medal. So there is a real good side, a real sincere side to Johnny. And all Daniel's doing at the moment, and for a change in this so far, he's not being an idiot. He's saying to him, remember, Cobra Kai was bad. There was nothing good about Cobra Kai. Mainly driven by Kreese, who's not in it. Well, at the moment anyway. That could change, I really don't know. But at the moment, stay away from Cobra Kai. Do not get Miguel involved in Cobra Kai. And as he says that, behind Johnny, you see Samantha and Kyla. So Daniel's got to be off on his toes. Mission 1, most important mission, protect your daughter and her dignity. So Daniel follows Kyla and Samantha into the classroom. And he can see her. And there's a little snippet where he's saying, just undo my belt, undo my belt. And he's dressed as a pirate. And I think, I could be wrong, I don't know what you guys think, that I think he was referring to his other sword that he wanted help getting out, not his plastic one as part of his costume. And that he wanted, and he can manipulate Samantha that much into doing this. So Daniel, like every dad who's protective, overly protective, thankfully I've got sons, I haven't got daughters, I don't know how protective I'd be, but he runs into the classroom and says, I knew there was something wrong with you, I knew you were a bad egg, and I was right, my gut feeling told me. And to be honest, again, I'm backing Daniel doing this, it's right. Then Kyla pulls a great trick, and I think it's a trick. he pulls out a bracelet and says, "This is my nan's, I was going to give it to Samantha," and you've got the whole situation wrong. And it's lapped up by Samantha and by Daniel, but I don't think Daniel was wrong. There's also a really horrible part where they're at the Halloween party and these mean girls, that's all I can describe them as, being mean girls, send a message out, and Samantha's not involved, it sends a message out on, I don't know if it's like Snapchat or something like that, to the whole group, the whole class, who's at this Halloween party, of Aisha with like a pig nose on, saying that she's at a trough eating. And again, they've been horrible about her weight. These girls are horrible. They need their comeuppance. They need something to happen. They need justice. They need Carrie there with the pot of blood to pour on them and then kill them all. But it's a really horrible part of bullying. So Miguel, Eli and Dimitri are in the boys' locker rooms. And also in there is Kyler and his other goons that he's with. And they knock over something and they get discovered whilst they're in the toilets. And like really good mates, Dimitri and Eli do a runner. But Miguel has got this newfound confidence, this new belief that he can now take Kyler on. So he's there, he's revving himself up, and you can see on his face that he knows what to do. He's got that confidence now. So he kicks Kyler in the chest and he falls down like a domino effect and brings down his friends. And I thought it was going to either play two ways. That you discover that Kyler also is really good at karate, and that he then, using his karate, that even though it's not been shown yet, that kicks the arse doing his karate of Miguel, which would have been very similar to Johnny kicking Daniel's arse in the original Karate Kid, or it'll be a fact that Miguel, and I suppose it's too early on to do this, Miguel would use his karate and either beat the crap out of Kyler or seriously hurt one of his friends. He goes over the top, which is frowned upon, but it wouldn't have been by Johnny, who would have encouraged this kind of violence. Remember, strike first, strike hard, no mercy. That's what he wants. But in fact, it plays out that Miguel is then dragged away into like the locker room area where he's locked up, and they beat the crap out of him really badly. And you don't see the damage that's done, but it's kind of blurred. And then Johnny's outside and he comes in and he finds Miguel on the floor, and he must be in some real sorry state, and I don't know how it's going to play out, but this ending is obviously loading up to something massive. We've seen Miguel, when he's on the punch bag, when he's breaking those bits of wood, have a real aggressive side, real anger, when he pictured Kyler's face when he was smashing those bits of wood. So you know he's got it in him. And is this the trigger for Miguel to just take it that one step too far and beat the crap out of Kyler? Personally, I hope it is. Kyler's a bully. He only beats people up in numbers when he's got his idiot friends around with him. So I think he needs to get what he deserves. He needs a lesson. Not from Johnny, but from Miguel. So I think there's an underlying factor in this, that at some point Samantha has to go against Yasmin and Moon. Something needs to happen. There needs to be a trigger there as well, where possibly you see her karate skills and she kicks the arse. Maybe a playground fight or a locker room fight where Samantha fights back and you do see another side to her. And I'm waiting to see that dark side of Miguel as well, and whether there'll be another face-off. At the moment, this episode for me was stalemate with the Johnny and Daniel, with my opinions of where they are, their standings. So that's kind of changing and that's evolving. I'm sure it will be more intense as we go along, and possibly driven by their kids and what Miguel does as well, and Samantha. But it's another really solid, really good episode. Okay, remember, you can also, if you're a fan of The Shield as well, which was an American cop drama which was screened on FX, it's on Amazon Prime. If you've got availability to that, watch that. That's really, really good. I'm doing a review on that. I'm on episode 6 at the moment. So subscribe and you won't miss a single episode. I'm Stuart, this is the Film Real Cast, and I'll see you soon.